What is going on, y'all? This is Papa Zethus here, and in this video we're going to go ahead and touch basis on 100% completion and factories. So with that being said, whenever I play a gacha game or whenever I play any type of game, I like to get 100% full game completion. Meaning what I want to do is I want to experience and explore every aspect that the game has to offer. I mean, the developers put in all this time, they put in all this effort to make these games, and I think they want the player to be immersed into everything that they've offered. So that's what I like to do. It doesn't really matter if it's a Final Fantasy game. It doesn't matter if it's Final Fantasy 14 online. It doesn't matter if it's a gacha game. It doesn't matter if it's Super Mario. Whatever it is, I like to play that game to full completion so I can get the full experience of everything that that game has to offer. So examples for me would be I've completed Final Fantasy X multiple times, Final Fantasy 13 multiple times, Final Fantasy 8, 9, pretty much everything from Final Fantasy 7 all the way up to Final Fantasy 16, actually. Of course, I didn't complete Final Fantasy 14 online. There's a lot of different expansions, and I just don't have the time to play MMORPGs anymore. I completed Genshin Impact all the way up to Nodcry, which is when I pretty much put that game to the side. I completed everything in Wuthering Waves, all the way up to, I think, the expansion where they brought in Luke Herson. I think I touched base on this on a different video as well. And I have completed everything that Arknights Endfield has to offer. It depends. For me, honestly, for me to get a full completion of the game, I have to be fully immersed, and there has to be elements in the game to where I do not want to put it down. Like I need to play this game from start to finish because every aspect of that game is just drawing me in. It's pulling me in, and it's keeping me fully immersed in the gameplay. For this game, it's become my main over Wuthering Waves, over Genshin, over Where Winds Meet, over Duet Night Abyss, and those are just some examples. Actually, Duet Night Abyss and Where Winds Meet, I played it when it first came out, and yes, the games were great when they first came, but I think those were games that I was playing as fillers because I had already finished Wuthering Waves. I had already got to Nod Cry, but I pushed back Genshin when Wuthering came out, and it had me fully immersed. And then once Duet Night Abyss came out, I was like, okay, well, let me try something different. So I did that, and then Where Winds Meet came out, and I was like, okay, well, I'm hearing a lot of stuff about this game. Let me go ahead and check this out. But Duet Night Abyss and Where Winds Meet never really fully grabbed my attention to where I was like, I just can't put this game down. I have to play it, have to play it, have to play it. And that's where I think Arknights Endfield has outdone itself above the rest because there's so much stuff that you can do in this game, and it's amazing from start to finish. Story-wise, character progression, character stories, factory system, the daily grinds, enemies. I mean, there's no short. The wishing system, pity system. It can, those two elements, the wishing system and the pity system, can be a little trying at times. It can be frustrating, of course, but like any gacha game or any type of game that involves a gamble, there's always a risk. So, you can't really put those two elements into the what's the word I'm looking for? Into the popularity of the game. If you really want to see how a game plays, you need to put your own experience in there. The developers, they put a lot of time and effort, money, resources to bring out a game in a genre that's fully saturated with similar games, to be able to bring you something that's new and immersive. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and touch base again on my map completion, and we'll just look at, we're not going to go to different areas, we'll just look at the map and we'll just see what I did, and we'll see what we need to do to get full experience. You know, quest aside, main quest aside, all of that stuff is, you know, they walk you through it so you don't miss a thing. But you want to do the extra, then you have to take extra steps to be able to get materials that you need for full completion, if that's what you want. Now, like I said, every gamer is different, every gameplay is different, but for me personally, if I'm going to play a game, as I've said before, I like to fully immerse myself into that game, and I want full completion because I want to get everything that those developers brought us, you know, that they've had to offer. So with that being said, we'll just go ahead, we'll pull up the map. Also, before I do that, if you guys like my content, if you like my channel, please like, share, and subscribe. Subscriptions don't cost you anything. They just help me out. They give my channel more popularity so I can start making more videos or continue to make more videos that people want to see. And liking the videos, you know, that just lets me know, hey, you like the content that I brought to the table. So, you know, I can make, you know, the more likes I get, the more of that similar content I can make. Sharing the videos with other people also helps because maybe they're kind of stuck, or maybe they want to know something, or maybe they just want to watch the video just to see the gameplay, whatever. You share that video, other people can watch it, and then, you know, maybe they might like it. As I've also seen a lot of streamers do before, this game itself is available on PS5, PC, and mobile, and it is made by Griffline. So wonderful game, top notch. This video is not sponsored, by the way. This game is top notch in graphics, gameplay, story, and characters. So definitely give it a shot. So without further ado, let's go ahead and look at the map. Now, when I do any type of map, depending on what it is, it doesn't really matter. I like to, you know, you get so overwhelmed when you're looking at the map that you're like, oh my God, this is such a huge area. Like, Jesus, there's so much shit to do. So, but, you know, a lot of the stuff that you will open and a lot of the map completion will come through just basic story quests, side quests, character quests, and then basic exploration. So a lot of the things that are difficult to find in certain maps, they offer you in-game items to be able to get that full completion. So as you can see, looking down at the bottom middle of the screen, you can see that I'm pretty much maxed out on everything that was available in this map. And it was huge. It took a lot of time. So going into the other region in Wuling, Jingyu Valley, again, full completion, bottom right or bottom middle, you can see full completion. And this area was a lot of fun to play. And then going into the new update, Jingbo Stockade, again, full completion, bottom middle. So, you know, they spent a lot of time and a lot of effort in developing these map regions, and they're gorgeous. So, you know, explore every aspect. Really take the game in and really immerse yourself in what the developers have had to offer. Going into Valley 4, we'll just start in Valley Pass. As you can see, small little area, has an AIC, but full completion there. Going into the hub, small area. Well, this was the starting area, not as big as Wuling, as you can see. Like Wuling, huge, huge. So full completion there. Didn't take long, but when you're first immersed into the game, when you first get into the game, you're spending so much time. For me personally, I spend so much time exploring that I put the side quests and the main story quests off because I like to get full completion or semi-full completion of a map before I really get myself immersed into the story and the characters. That's just how I play. So every play style is different, but these are musts if you really want to experience the game at its fullest value. And then going into Aubrey Quarry, this was a difficult area to explore because it's so small, but there's so many different levels, and some of the items and some of the things that you have to find are very difficult to find because you're tucked behind places that you can't get to unless you fulfill the quest or buy certain items to be able to get to it. So, but it was a lot of fun. Full completion there. Originium Science Park, super fun. This is where you meet Yvonne for the first time, and full completion there, which led you into Origin Load Spring. This area is huge. Lot of different puzzles and quirks that you have to go through and side quests that you have to complete to be able to get a full completion on this area. And it didn't take long. Full completion of every single map area took me about 2 months. 2 months, and that's with maybe about 4 hours of gameplay a day, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. It just depends. And then at my main job, my full-time job, we get 45-minute lunches. So I would, during my 45-minute lunch, I'd sit in my truck, or I'd go, up in our break room or something, and I'd log in for, about 45 minutes, just do some piddly stuff, look around for stuff. But yeah, it wasn't too long. Full completion there, and then finally going into the power plateau, which leads us to the end game content for 1.0, full completion. And this was a lot of fun because this area encompassed a lot of the land breakers and what's the other ones? Land breakers and the other one, I can't think of their name right now, brain fart, which led us into end game content, which brought us to Wuling. So with that being said, we'll go ahead and go back to Wuling. And because I wanted this video just to kind of focus on map completion, I also wanted to focus on factories. So with every game, there are certain elements that are very important. So in this game, I know you will hear from a lot of different people, or maybe you will see a lot of different streamers that are posting content that says, the factory system is a small portion of it, or the factory system is this percentage of it, or whatever. What I can say is the factory can be just as immersive and just as important as the game itself, because everything you're doing in the factory is a must. You have to have the items that this factory that you have to build in this area, in this section. So it's very important to learn the factory system. Okay, now when you come in, let's say we're going to go back to the map completion. So if you come down here into your outpost management and you go into your stock redistribution, if you want 100% full map completion, you need to buy the certain items that require it, which are these: a Wuling detector or a Wuling compass. The Wuling detectors will detect your chests, and the Wuling compasses will detect your Orleans. So that way you can find all of your chests, all of your Orleans. The armor crates that you find along the way and the other items that are in there, You find those as you progress in the story, doing quests and story quests. Now going back, if you go into the outpost management, okay, everything that you need in this area is in the outpost management. You just come over to this area, hit the square button, and these items will tell you this is what you'll need in Wuling. So Yazen syringe, that's for HP type stuff, character like potions, defenses, whatever. Yazen syringe, same thing. Wuling battery, this is what you'll need to power your station. And I have not made the SC Wuling battery, so that's something that I'm going to have to make at my factory now. That just popped up because I hit level 3 on my outpost prosperity just not too long ago. So if we have some time, we'll look at the recipe for this and we'll make it. Shiranite, you're going to need that. Jinko drink, this is for HP, so this is something that you'll need. LC Wuling battery takes very long to make, but it's great as far as power output for Wuling, because you have a lot of different items you're going to have to make. Kruprian part, this is also one of the items that you'll need here, and each one of these items has a purpose. Okay, so let's just kind of go into it. This is, again, I've shown this video before. I'm proud of my factory system. I love all of my factories. I love building in the factories. I've never been a factory type gamer, but Arknights Endfield has completely stolen my heart when it comes to factory building. I mean, because not to mention the gameplay, not to mention the enemies that you fight, not to mention the side quests, main quests, and character quests, that's pretty much all the other gacha games provide, with an added bonus of events and little small mini games and things like that. Yeah, this game has that too, but it also has the factory system. And I think when they came out with the factory system, they're trying to change the way gacha games are being played and being built and being developed. They want they're seeing how this does, and I think based on what I've seen and based on what I've heard and based on people that have played this, it's a very popular game, and it's a very popular incentive to play the game because you have the factory system, which gives a little extra side gaming aspect to just the basic main aspects of exploration and quests. So, excuse me. So let's go ahead and look at the factory system. Now, you can do anything in the factory system. It does not matter. There's no limits. The only limit that you have is the border that's around the factory. You cannot go outside this border in any other factory. The only time you are able to go outside of this border is if the parameters allow it. So, as long as you're within this border, it's no big deal. The factory system encompasses a lot of different aspects, which you can come over here when you're in the factory. You can look at your logistics. It encompasses belt bridge, belt splitters, belt convergers, item control ports, pipe bridges, pipe splitters, pipe converges, and pipe control ports. Basically, let's go through these. A belt bridge is that's what it is. It's when you take another belt over another belt, it creates this bridge. A belt splitter is exactly what that is. A belt splitter will split that belt into 4 different sections. And you'll see a lot of that in instances like this. This is a belt splitter. And basically what it's doing is it's taking my originium ore, it's bringing it into the belt splitter, which is also splitting it off into 2 more belt splitters, which splits those off into thermal banks. That's exactly what a belt splitter does. No more, no less. Converger, basically what that is it takes multiple belts and it converges them into one central location, and then it'll split it off. So basically, if you look at how the converger works, that black arrow that's at the bottom left-hand corner of the converger square is where your items are coming in. And the arrows that are pointing out and then going straight, it converges it to the left, to the right, and ahead. So in 3 different locations. The item control port. All this item control port does is basically you put this at the start of what you're unloading, and basically this will say only this item can come through here. So if you're running, convergers, splitters, and bridges, this control port will make sure that no other items go through it. Only the selected item that's running through that control port will go through it. And basically, because these are the only things that are in Valley 4, these 4 items. Once you get to Wuling, you have these 4 items, and you have 4 items for pipes. And basically, they work the same exact way. Pipe bridge, you go over another pipe, creates a pipe bridge. Pipe splitter, basically you can take that item and you can split it off into 3 different areas. Pipe converger, same thing. You can converge items together, similar items together, and you can branch those off. And then pipe control port, basically the only one fluid will go through that control port. These are resources, of course. If you guys have ever played, you get the electric mining rigs, the rig Mark II, hydro mining rig, that's only specifically for Wuling, fluid pump Wuling, portable originium rig, that can go Wuling and Valley 4. Electric mining rig Mark II and electric mining rig can go Valley 4 and Wuling as well. Depot access, protocol stashes. This is where you can stash a lot of your items. If you don't have any space at your AIC control ports, you can put them in protocol stashes. And basically, it will take all of those items, it will stockpile them in the protocol stash, and it will send them directly back to your depot. Depot loaders, same thing. So if you pull something from your bus stations with a depot unloader, which is right here, you can load it back into the depot loader, which puts it back into your depot. These 3 items are available for Wuling and Valley 4. Fluid tanks are only valid in Wuling, and that's exactly what they do. They're a fluid tank. They hold fluids. Depot bus section, depot bus ports. These are only available for Wuling. Cannot use them in Valley 4. And basically, that's what they are. They're buses. You can put them anywhere in your AIC. Doesn't mean, core AIC, any AIC. As long as you're able to, you can put them anywhere in your AIC. They don't have to be in one specific area, like, over on this side or over on this side. So in Valley 4, that's what you have. You had to pay for the bus stations, and they were pretty much standard. That's the only place you could put them. So that's where they are. But for here in Wuling, if you have the depot bus sections, depot bus ports, you can put them anywhere in your AIC. Conduit inlet, conduit outlet. Basically, what this is, starting with the conduit outlet, is if you bring in a line, and I'll show you an example. If you bring in a water line and you don't want to run all that pipe everywhere around the area, you plug that fluid pipe into a conduit outlet. And basically you connect that conduit outlet and you can run it to your conduit inlet. And I'll show you an example of that in a little bit. Production, refining, just refines items, shreds it, takes items and puts them into a solid item or fitting. This will mold an item. This will seed pick for you. This will take the seeds and plant them for you. And then the water treatment unit, basically this is for sludges, and I'll show you those. And then you go into production, which is, this is for gear, this is for bottles, this is for packaging gear, this is for grinding gear. Reactor crucibles are for fluids. So you have to take items mixed with fluids to be able to make a specific fluid. Forge of the skies, and we'll go into detail what those do. Separating units. These are all your power units. Electric pylons, Shearonite pylons. Electric pylons can be used at both Valley 4 and Wuling. Shearonite pylons can only be used in Wuling. Relay tower, same thing, Valley 4, Wuling. Shearonite only in Wuling, and thermal banks can be used anywhere. And this is just miscellaneous stuff. Zipline, if you want to create zipline towers, memos. Easy Stash is really cool. If you're around in the map and you don't have a teleprotocol or a telespace protocol, whatever, to teleport to, you put an Easy Stash, and basically what that means is you can put any items that are in your backpack into the Easy Stash, which automatically is connected to your depot. So you can grab stuff and put stuff in them, and it's all connected to your depot. Sprinkler, it's basically what it is. It's a sprinkler. Fluid supply unit. This basically, when you take any type of fluid and you load it into the fluid supply unit, it will come out on the other end, and we'll show you an example of that. And this is just compat. Never use the medical towers, but if you're out in the field, you get hurt too bad or whatever, you're not by a save point, then you just have the medical towers. But there are certain stipulations to be able to make those work, and like I said, I've never used them. And gun towers, grenade towers, LN towers, heavy gun towers, omnidirectional sonic towers, surge towers, grenade towers, sentry towers, beam towers, deluge towers, armor fraggers, and marsh gas. All of those items are used in your AIC areas. So basically where you're facing outpost incursions. Those are what you'll use, those gun towers and everything. But of course you can use them anywhere if you want. You can set them up anywhere you want around the map. It doesn't really matter. So let's go ahead and look at some of these items. Here's your fluid tank. Like I said, it holds fluids, 500 gallons, and it can hold any type of fluid that you want. Doesn't matter. Let's look at, these are Forge of the Skies. So basically you bring in fluids and you mix them with items, and it will pump out a specific item. As you can see, the current auto production formulas are right there. If you select that, it'll tell you what you need to put in there to be able to make that item. Pretty self-explanatory, not hard at all, but it can be a little overwhelming and difficult, especially if you haven't done the sims or if the sims are too confusing. What I do is I just look at the recipe and I'm like, okay, so I need this and this. And then basically you just kind of look at it. Okay, well, this is a direct reflection of a pipe. You can see it. Okay, so a fluid goes there. And this is a direct reflection of an item. Okay, an item goes there. And because it gives you the actual formula, it's pretty self-explanatory. It's basically just look and pay attention. And you'll be able to make whatever you want with limited to no difficulty. Okay. Let's look at one of the other items. Nope, that's not the grinding. That's a grinding unit. What I want to look at is right here. Okay, let's look at the reactor crucibles. Reactor crucibles do not, and let me do it for sure. Reactor crucibles are very confusing to some, but it's super easy if you figure it out. You put the item into it. As you can see, I'm putting in a powder. It's going into the reactor crucible. You do not have to take it out anywhere. You don't have to put it anywhere. There's no need for that. Basically, what the reactor crucible does is it takes a fluid, fresh water, mixed with the item, and then basically it mixes that item with that fresh water, which creates another fluid. In this case, the Yazan solution. And basically it'll show you what you need. If you just kind of pay attention, it's always going to be the fresh water, the item, into the fluid. So you just select this item. If you hit switch, you just select this item and you would choose the clean water, then hit confirm. The item is whatever you put in here, and then that's always just the item. And then when you come over here, you can switch it, but then you select the Yazan solution or whatever solution that that particular item is making, and you'll put it in this slot here. And basically the way it works is the fresh water comes in and then it comes out, and I like to connect them at the same exact opposite adjacent end so I don't confuse myself. So the fresh water comes in and the Yazan solution will come out, and it will come into the filling unit. And we talked about those. The filling unit is basically when you take that solution, you put it in a bottle, and then it makes that solution in a bottle. And these are very imperative because you're going to need them at some point for doing something. If you look down here, as you can see, there's a lot of different methods of creating these bottles, but each one has a purpose, and it's very important that you understand that. And that's why the factory system can get a little overwhelming, because you're like, oh my god, I got to make all these different things, I got to make all these different items, I got to do this, I got to do that. But if you just pay attention and just take the time, I promise you, you will get extremely immersed, and I mean, you'll want to learn to do these things, because it's a cool aspect to this game. A lot of things that we went over, like for instance here, this is a belt bridge. Basically you can take two different fluids and you can cross them without any contamination and split them off. And for my purposes, I'll show you here in a minute, I just created a bunch of nonsense that I didn't really even need. This is the pipe splitter. Basically, like I said before, it takes that specific fluid or whatever, and it will split it off into different sections. This is the water treatment unit that we went over. Basically, the water treatment unit will take fresh water that comes into it, and you'll need it for this to be able to make this item, because you have to take fresh water and mix it with this item to be able to get this. And basically when you get this, after pulling this in or farming it, there's sludge in it, so you have to get that sludge out, which makes this item, but that sludge has to go, that sewage has to go somewhere. So basically you have to put it in a water treatment facility, and it never fills up, so it's always there. It just takes, I don't know where it puts it, but it never fills up, and then you have to run that out from here into the water treatment unit to be able to make this specific item which comes out. This is, again, this is the splitter. So you put a splitter here and you can run lines anywhere you want to. Okay. Hold on. So there's a lot of confusing different aspects to the factory system in Wuling than say the factory system in Valley 4. But the only thing that's different is you're just adding pipes. Everything else is pretty self-explanatory. Looking over the factory, as you can see, not too bad. But here's a cool thing that you can do with the factory. This I actually do like, and I've spent a lot of time just piddling around with this for no apparent reason other than to do it. So like I said in one of my other previous videos, I love running these pipes for no absolute reason other than I just like to do it. Maybe that's the novice plumber in me. I don't know. Maybe it's just me wanting to add more color to the factory. I don't know. I just enjoy it. There's not really any other space in this factory system that I can use at the moment. So I'm like, all right, well, fuck it. Let me just fill this shit up with twists and turns and color and angles and whatever. And so that's what I did. So as you can see, I have multiple splitters for freshwater, and then I've also got splitters coming off of different items and melding them together. And then I've also got convergers, which this would be a pipe splitter here. Let me see here. Let me see. That's a pipe splitter, but this is a bridge. Yep. Oh, so mostly bridges, I would say. Yeah, mostly bridgers, I would say. Not really any convergers, because I don't have to converge two different fluids. But yeah, here it is. Okay, this is a converger. Perfect example. So basically, a converger, like I said, well, you can run the same fluid and you can melt it together, but you'll need the converger to be able to converge those fluids together in unison. And then basically you can run it out into fluid tanks, which fill up. And that's what I did. So basically I ran all of my lines together from reactor crucibles to fluid tanks, or excuse me, reactor crucibles to water treatment units to filling units. I just molded them all together. Don't ask me why. I just got a hair in my ass and I was like, you know what? I'm bored. Let me just do some shit. And that's what I did. Why is that? Hold on one second. I don't like that. Yeah, I don't like that was doing that. So I'm going to go ahead and take that. I'm going to stash that. Yeah. I didn't like that it didn't have that outport icon there. I wasn't happy with that. So basically, and I ran them into fluid tanks, and I have them readily accessible if I need them, and I can run lines from here or there, and I could merge them together and pipe bridge them and so on and so forth, and just run pipes all over the place if I want to. Same thing over here. Basically, I just ran pipes. And you have to have a fluid tank because you can only go so far. And I don't know exactly the amount of meters. I think it's 80 or 90 meters before you run out. And then you have to put a fluid tank to be able to fill it. And then you have to come off of that fluid tank to be able to go into wherever you're going. And this is doing the same thing here. Why? Let's fix that. Can we fix that? Yep, there we go. Let me see. Hopefully that didn't do anything. That shouldn't have done anything bad. Yeah, because I've got one coming out into two. So that's what this is. So it's coming out and it's going into two different lines, which are feeding into here. Okay. All right. And then basically, again, I have two fluid tanks because I ran two separate lines. One actually runs all the way back here from a water pump or fluid pump, which pumps it directly out of fresh water, which is unlimited clean water. and then it runs into this fluid pump all the way down there, which we discussed. And then this one, because I ran it from a different fluid pump, which is over here. Yep, right here. And basically I wanted all of my fluid pumps to start at the far end. So they had, so I had space to add more stuff if I wanted. And then that's pretty much what it did, is it just ran all the way down here into here, which is the reason why I had to put it in that fluid tank right there. But here's the cool part. Merging all of these lines together, coming out of filling units to reactor crucibles, or reactor crucibles to filling units, to splitters, to bridges, and then to splitters, and then going into bridges here. This one, I think, yeah, that's a pipe bridge. So I know exactly how this runs. All this right here is Yazin solution. No, Jinko solution. And it pretty much runs here and then straight out here. Fresh water, of course, runs across here into here. Because I set all these lines up, I know exactly where they're at, how to get rid of them if I want to. The sewage or the sludge, using pipe bridges, it just came into a fluid tank, because you can only take it so far, around, and then into a splitter. That's a splitter to a pipe bridge, and then I just came across and ran it all the way down here for no apparent reason other than I wanted to do it. But I do have a method to my madness, so I'll show you guys here in a minute. Into fluid tanks. And then same thing, this is Yazin solution here, which I know runs here. And this is Shearonite fluid, which runs here into here. Oh, shit. And then this is just a jumbled mess from a fluid pump into different lines with pipe bridges and splitters, which pretty much runs the length of the factory into different reactor crucibles and planting units and filling stations. Yeah, like I said, it could get super confusing, but it's really fun. And I'll show you what makes it fun to do all this stuff. Is now that they're in fluid tanks. See, all these into fluid tanks. I ran each one of these lines across this water. Of course, you cannot jump into that water, so if I tried to do that and run those lines, then this would happen. I would drown, but then start to swim. Not sure why. Hopefully they encompass swimming in future patches, because drowning in water just because you fell off a ledge is irritating, but it brings you right back to where you fell off, so not too bad. And after I ran all those lines across, basically what I did is I hooked them right back up into fluid pumps, or fluid tanks. And the reason why I did that is because I put them into fluid supply units. See, I've got all these different fluid supply units. But here's the cool thing. So as you can see, this is 45% clean water. Meaning there is an end to it. And I'll show you the end right over here. So this little spot right here is where it stops, meaning no water can get through anywhere, cannot get into the unlimited clean water, and you're at 45. So this was part of a quest that you had to do. You had to fill it up, but you couldn't do it until later. But the cool thing about this is if I come over here and I shut this off and I keep it on this fluid pump, as you can see, it pumps all of the water out, and it will put it right back in here into the unlimited fluid supply. But just because I wanted to see what I could do in Wuling with the new factory system, once all this water pumps out, I wanted to see what I could do. Now, what I did find out is you are not allowed to put any type of sludge or sewage in here, because I tried, doesn't work. Once all this pumps out, this line right here will be empty, like so. And basically, what you do is you just take this line, stash it. Whoops. Meant to stash entire production line. Hopefully, there we go. Stash entire production line, and then you come over here and you can stash this entire fluid supply unit. Take this little doohickey, turn that off, and if you come over here and let's just say, for instance, turn this one on, nothing will come out of it, unfortunately, because you can't put sludge in there. But I kept it there anyway. Why not? Different colors. Walk under a ceiling of pipes. But you got this one right here. This is your fluid supply unit with Yazin solution. If I turn that on, as you can see, it will fill up the water with Yazin solution, which serves absolutely no apparent purpose other than you can change the color of the water. And you can either make it fresh water, you can make it Yazin water, which I actually kind of like the Yazin because it's got those little particles in there that float around. But what I think you can do is, because it's Yazin solution, if you need it, not to say that you do, but if you need it, you could come over here into your filling. And if you want to put Yazin solution in bottles, you can select fluid containers, which you have Farium bottles, and you can select as many as you want, up to 10, and you can fill 10 bottles with Yazin solution. So that's something pretty cool that you can do. So it can be anything. So for instance, if I didn't want Yazin solution in there, I could come over here and I could drop a here we go, fluid supply. Now, unfortunately, you cannot put Yazin solution in unlimited fresh water. Will not let you. So, just for purposes, I will show you. Go ahead and hit your pump, your stuff, run it from here, feed it into here, and turn this on. And it'll pump all of that Yazin solution out, but not before I come over here and turn that off. So as you can see, it's pumping the water out. So you can pretty much change the color of this water to whatever you want. And it doesn't matter if it's shearnite fluid, it doesn't matter if it's Jinko solution or Yazin solution. And once that pumps all the way out, as you can see, you'll come over here and it'll fill it all the way up to 45. And then after 45, it won't pump anymore. But this pipe should go low pretty soon. I feel like it's going to happen any second now. No. So, you just come over here to the fluid supply unit, stash it. And you have to stash the pipe as well. Like I said, this serves absolutely no purpose other than the fact if you wanted to just run a bunch of nonsense you can. And then go ahead and take your fluid pump, turn that off, and say for instance we want to go ahead and put Shearnite. Now I can fill this up with green Shearnite fluid. So again, absolutely no purpose to this other than the fact you can just fill this little section here with different fluids if you want and change the color tone of the water. It's not going to go anywhere. It's just kind of fun to do. And then let's see here. If I went and I just did this again, placed it there, ran my pipe to here, plugged it back in, turned the fluid pump on, it'll pump all that out, and turn this off so it doesn't constantly keep pumping it. You know, pump all that nonsense out, put it into this fluid supply unit once it reaches 45, and then you'll fill it back up. So I just thought that was pretty cool. If you come over here, you can kind of see what I did. As you can see, it's just extra shit you can add. That's what makes the factory system so unique to each section, whether it be Valley 4 or Wuling. There's a lot of different combinations and setups that you could possibly do, and that's why it's really important to learn the factory system, is not only because you need this stuff, but also you can set it up to be your own. Add your own little stuff, maybe try some new things, you know, play around with it, do absolutely nothing with it. It's all up to you. We can turn this off. We'll stash that. We'll stash this whole product line. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and turn the fluid supply back on for the fresh water. And that will basically pump all fresh water. And let's turn this on. And because there's still a little bit left in there, what I'm going to have to do is place this here. And this is a cool thing too as well. If there's still some different fluids in here, like liquid Shearnite, if I was to connect this, it will fill it up into here. But now it has fresh water. But here's the thing. It will not pump it back in here, even though it's fresh water. It will not pump it back in here because I still have a different fluid in there. So what I could do is I could take this, put it in a container, and basically now it will start pumping that stuff out. Pretty cool, huh? So, like I said, you can do that for no other reason than just to play around with it, run water lines anywhere you want to, set up belt bridges, pipe splitters, pipe bridges, belt splitters, whatever. And because you have certain lines that have here, you can run these all the way up. If you want to, run them across the wall, run them this way, run them up here, into here, and you could pretty much run that pipe as much as you want to run it. You can run it all the way around Wuling as much as you want to run it. You can run pipes anywhere you want to. So with no apparent reason other than you just want to do it. So then you come over here, stash the entire line. No big deal. But yeah, that's one of the most important aspects of this game, the factory system. So even though you have exploration, side quests, main quests, whatever, factory system is very important for producing items that your character needs. Each one has a purpose. And coming into it, we'll just show you. Let me see if I can go, hold on. Doop. Yeah, I have to go back into my factory, sorry. Alright, each one has a purpose. For instance, you're going to need Shearonite. You're going to need the bottles. These are your cuprium. You'll need cuprium to make cuprium components to make level 70 gear, certain level 70 gear. You'll need Shearonite to make Shearonite components to make certain, gear, level 70 gear. You'll need these cuprium parts. They will produce a lot of different other items, such as deluge tower, armor fragger. You'll need them to make hydro mining rigs. You'll need them to make water treatment units, conduit inlets, and conduit outlets. Plus, you'll also need them to make Yazen syringes and Janko tea. So every item that you make in your factory based off of the outpost management, what they need, you will need every single one of these items. And I'm going to start making the SC Wuling battery because I haven't made it yet. I'm not going to make it right now because I don't know exactly where I'm going to make it. But let's just go ahead and look at the recipe for that. So basically what you need is Shearcon. But for me to be able to make Shearcon, I have to get Shearcon. How do I make that? Let's see here. Okay, Shearonite into sewage, into Shearcon, into affluent. Okay, so that's something I'm going to have to set up, and hopefully I can set it up at this area. If not, I'll have to set it up at the other area. But let me show you also why you can run all these pipes everywhere else. When you come into Wuling, like Valley 4, you also have plots. And you'll need these plots for certain items, which, like I wanted to touch base on, is why you need a conduit inlet, to a conduit outlet. So basically, when you come to your map, you look at it, it's running the inlet, underground, straight path to your outlet. And you can come off of your outlet into sprinklers, which do exactly what the sprinklers say. Once you start harvesting a lot of these plots and you select water, the sprinklers will turn on and it will hydrate these plots so they can grow. As you can see, I don't need these items, but they're readily available should I need them. And you can run splitters, and the pipes can run in all different directions. And as you can see, that's pretty much what I set up for my sprinkler unit. Very fun. In my opinion, I think it's very fun. You'll find also gentlemen around here that you can buy seeds from. They're at, this is the only plot here in Wuling, and the other plot is in Valley 4, right here at the power plant station, I think. No. Is this one? No, hold on. This one, sorry, I'm an idiot. So your other plot is right over here in Originium Science Park. And as you can see, it's right over here. You can't set up sprinklers over here because there's no water source for you to connect to, but you have plots in only 2 sections, Originium Science Park and in Wuling by the core AIC. All right, and we'll just come over here and just get another top view of the factory for Wuling. And each factory is pretty much the same. You can do the same exact thing in one factory that you can do at another. The only difference between the factories of the core AC and the other AICs is just size. So the core AC is meant to hold more, to be able to do more, and the sub AICs are basically just there. If you run out of space in your core AIC, then you can put it at your sub AIC. But that's pretty much it. So again, this video just kind of touched bases on full map completion, full immersion of the game and what the developers have had to offer, and then factory setup and looking at the different items and components that you need or that you use and need in your factory to be able to produce the items that are needed in game for HP, defense, batteries, and armor components. So I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. This was kind of pretty in-depth. But if you guys need any help with the factory system, if you guys are confused, if you guys want to know more about the factory system, please send me a shout in the comments and I will make another video on that. If you guys did like the video, please like, share, and subscribe. Subscriptions don't cost you anything. They just promote my channel. Share my content if you think it was informative and somebody can learn from it or wants to watch it and use it or learn from it or whatever. Share the video, and if you liked the video because it was informative or you just enjoyed watching the video and seeing all the different things you can do, go ahead and like that video. Again, I'm Papa Zethus. I appreciate y'all for watching, and I'm out. Take care.